welcome. I am live with Sarah Barnhart, and I am so excited to be here. Sarah Barnhart is a mama, a mindful movement teacher, and a maker. And I just wanted to share a little background as to how I connected with Sarah. And so, Sarah, you came over to my place when I lived in Brantford, probably like maybe 5+ years ago now, a while ago.
Yeah.
Came over for a reading, and I just remembered, I think you maybe don't remember this, but we talked about Black Moon Lilith. We talked about Lilith, and this is this powerful, like, badass feminine archetype. And I remember after you left, I was just like, I love that I could just throw Lilith at this person, and they totally picked up what I was putting down, and they were totally all about it. So I remember after we met, and you left an impact on me just in your receptivity to these powerful themes that I was talking about, because 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it wasn't as like alive and well as it is now. So I feel like you've probably had it since the get-go, but I just wanted to say, I knew as soon as we looked at your chart and you were like nodding your head, like you knew what I was talking about. And I just felt like, oh yeah, this person is my cup of tea. So like I said, Sarah is a mama, a mindful movement teacher, and a maker. And we've stayed connected on social media. And even though I moved out of the area, I have followed this yoga studio or movement studio in Hamilton called Good Body Feel. And I can't wait to go one day. I mean, I just have to go. I'm like the biggest Instagram fan. I love everything that you're doing at Good Body Feel. And I didn't even know you were a teacher until something happened, like somewhere along the way. And I'm like, oh, of course, Sarah's teaching at Good Body Feel. Whoa, it was just like in my little head over here on Instagram, it was like powerhouses colliding, these worlds colliding. So we're going to talk all about that. Well, not just that, but we're just going to have a really fun, fluid conversation. But I just wanted to start by asking, is there anything that you want to share about yourself or anything you want to add? I know I did a little bit of an informal introduction, but if there's anything that you want to add, go for it.
I guess just that, yeah, you're so right about Good Body Feel. And I'm so lucky. So Good Body Feel is owned by Robin LaCambra. I am unbelievably lucky to have landed in her orbit. So many things, like you were saying, like 5 or 6 years ago, these things were happening, but not necessarily in a way that I could even like form words around. Like you have words for all kinds of things because what's happening, and you have words. I didn't until I landed in Robin's orbit, and I realized that she started to put words to and share out what I had always known or felt. And I was so grateful for that, for just being able to have something like something there that I could expand with, and that I like a place that I knew where I fit, because I could kind of dive into these like somewhat really political things, and there was space held for that Robin has created. So super grateful for Good Body Feel's existence. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. And it's so about the space being held, because I actually found Good Body Feel after being really disheartened by yoga spaces. And obviously I am extremely privileged. All my intersections land right there near the top. So it's very much spaces that are accommodated to me. And that was what I was uncomfortable with, because I was able to see that this isn't okay. I'm centered in all of this, but I am willing to share the stage. I want to share the stage. And a great friend of mine who's in Hamilton, we were having this conversation, and she said, oh, you gotta follow Good Body Feel. And it has brought so much hope to me and the world. So it's all about the space, right? It's all about the spaces being held, and it's just observing the spaces that you are holding over there. You and all the other teachers has influenced the type of spaces that I myself am also intending to hold. So one of my questions for you, and I know it's a big question, so take your time, like piecing it together, is could you tell us, what it means to create safe class spaces?
So this is controversial in white-centered spaces. So exclusive spaces for safe spaces are necessary for marginalized communities to bottom line. That's why they exist at Good Body Feel. That is what we are trying to create, safe, inclusive spaces, and not just say we are a safe, inclusive space. Those are very different things. So creating safe, exclusive spaces for safe spaces is, yeah, it's just that. It is creating spaces for people to come together to see and feel and believe that they are for real included in these spaces, so that they can continue to have healing practices available to communities that may not land in places where white or otherwise oppressive bodies are centered.
I love that. And I like, I don't, there was some that you just said that landed to me, but like actually real safe spaces, or, because
Yeah.
you hear it so much, this is a safe space. And just through educating myself and reaching out to spaces that aren't white centered and learning from Black, Indigenous, people of color, or all sorts of other marginalized communities, just being willing to listen as a white person, which is I'm just willing to listen and then do the work that is required of me, because I'm not going to be entitled to be educated. I want to do the work myself, has been huge. And since I've had that maybe I won't say an awakening, but that awareness in my mind, and I hear the word safe space, I understand for me it's safe, but I've started to question, are they really safe spaces? So I love that at Good Body Feel, you are legit safe spaces for certain communities of people. And I was wondering if you'd want to share just some of the types of classes that you hold.
Yeah, sure. So I only teach the safe space classes at Good Body Feel right now. So they are on a rotating schedule. There are, I believe, 4 or 5 teachers on for each class. So I teach melanated moves, class for people of color, Black, Indigenous, people of color. And I also teach the QT moves for the queer trans community. I am incredibly grateful to take that seat in those spaces and hold space for communities that I belong to, both of them. I love when Robin says that, and I don't appear on the outside, perhaps, to the world to fit in either. And the fact that at Good Body Feel, like, I myself am seen and heard and understood and allowed to be all parts of me, truly means that I myself, as a teacher, am landing in a safe space to provide practices for the communities that land in those places. So it's a huge honor for me to teach both of those classes, and terrifying at the same time, because I didn't have things until quite recently. I've always known that I was not straight, but that was as far as it ever went. I mean, I was like 3 years old and wanted to be a boy and marry a girl. Like, I may do that. I may not. It doesn't look a certain way for me. The word fluid was dropped into my vocabulary fairly recently. I identify as pansexual. Your gender, sex, gender identity has like zero bearing on whether or not I fall in love with you as a human being. So, but I didn't even know that word until very recently, if I'm being perfectly honest. And also melanated moves that I am allowed in Good Body Feel and in that space to be seen as a person of color is very deeply moving for me and deeply healing for me. In white-centered spaces where I've been teaching yoga for like 10 years almost, and every time in every studio and every space I ever went into, I scanned the room for other people that either looked like me or that looked like how I know I am, if that makes sense. Looked for other people of color, looked for other people who may be feeling kind of othered in spaces and not having a place to say how they felt about those spaces or being in those spaces. So yeah, I don't know if any of that makes sense.
Oh my God, it makes so much sense. Like, and one of the comments we have, thank you for your candor and vulnerability, Sarah. And thank you so much for coming on and everything you're saying. I've got like chills all over my spine. It's amazing. And it's, you know, yeah, it's unreal. And thank you not only for coming on to this event to, you know, share and speak, but also just thank you for what you're doing in the world and how you're willing to evolve and grow as you learn more and see yourself through new lenses and new information. Because I really feel like this is what these times are about. We have to be willing to shift and grow, whereas before we were kind of, I don't know, told what boxes to fit into to a certain extent.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just even environmentally, I felt like I was told what box I fit into. You know, I grew up in Burlington, super white, you know. My mom is Jamaican. My mom is mixed race also, but we don't know like our history, our Jamaican history fully. We don't know what that mix necessarily looks like. We don't know who owned our people when they arrived to the island. We don't know that. Everybody in our family on our Jamaican side has like at least one blonde-haired, blue-eyed child. Like, where does that come from? We don't know. I'm so fascinated by it, and I want to know so much more about it, but she didn't fully own or claim her own identity either. So I was by environment forced into a very white box. And growing up, the only people who knew that I wasn't white were other people of color. So other Jamaican people would say, you're Jamaican, or you're part Jamaican, aren't you? And I was so thankful that somebody actually saw me, and sort of being on the outside, not enough, not fitting in, being like living in gray places or these kind of gray spaces can leave you feeling like being nowhere and then feeling like nothing. And that's a theme that I am now coming to grips with and moving through and working through and owning all parts of me. I'm aiming towards owning them unapologetically in the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes to more of that. And not to mention, you're facilitating spaces for others to do the same, which is massive. So thank you. Like, I want to, just thank you. Thank you for coming on. I feel like this is incredible to have you as a guest. I really do. And again, thank you to Good Body Feel, even though I've never been there. I don't know Robin, but I love you, Robin, if you're watching. And I love what everyone there is doing. So another another question that I wanted to ask you is, you're a mindful movement teacher. So I love that language, and it really feels really good to me to even say. So I was wondering if you could talk just a little bit about what it means to be a mindful movement teacher versus maybe a different title.
So I taught, like I said, yoga for years, and I am deeply influenced by that practice. Mindful movement as a title for me actually came out of teaching in schools, in Catholic schools in particular, and I felt like the practice was more welcomed when the yoga was taken out of it. And you know, I have sort of mixed feelings around that, but that was the truth that I found. And then I started to feel like mindful movement was the best description for what I offered, because despite the fact that, oh, hi, this is my child, Steve Johnny. Despite the fact that I am deeply influenced by yoga, I am also aware that I live in the West, that I have not learned from Indian teachers whose practice this is. I have not, I don't necessarily teach only one style of traditional asana. There's a lot of other influences that I have. So mindful movement really feels like the right fit that also takes out bits and pieces of uncomfortable appropriation. So that for me is really important, and also ever evolving. And I am forever learning ways in which I may have caused harm. And then I offer apologies for that, and then take that out of my practice, or properly credit the people who own it and then give back to those communities. So that's where for me.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. I'm so, so thankful that you're on the planet and you're doing what you're doing. It's a big deal. It's amazing. I have a question from one of
Yeah.
our viewers. So,
Mhm.
Devin asked, could Sarah share where you did some of your trainings or workshops that you would recommend?
Yes, I can for sure. So, my first training I did in Lambertville, New Jersey at Dig Yoga with Sue Alkine and Naeem Jesney. They are amazing. They continue to be amazing. Very, very much yoga, which is great. That's what they offer, and they're very good at offering that, and they continue in their learning. And I still am hugely grateful for them giving me space to grow as a teacher. And then I also just finished the Good Body Feel movement method teacher training, which is life changing for me. And there's another one coming up in the spring. So maybe connecting with Good Body Feel and seeing if there's still space available. And then a workshop that Good Body Feels offering is sharing privilege. I have this here.
Yes.
Exploring the intersection between accessibility and abundance that Robin offers. She's offering at her studio, and then also we'll travel with it. So if you know somewhere that may benefit by the world would benefit by hearing this workshop, but if you know somewhere that is willing to offer it in your area, I don't know where where the question is coming from, but if that is something in that area that might be,
Yes.
that would be amazing. So those are a few things that I have done, and the Melanated Moves class actually came out of a workshop as well, and now is a weekly class. So yeah, those are some spots for me, the places where I have learned, and then I just continue to learn. And I Rise Yoga also in Toronto, I follow on Instagram, and I know that they are doing amazing things as well. So you can follow along there.
Awesome. That's incredible. Thank you for those resources.
Mm.
That's great. So, yeah, well, this has been phenomenal. I feel like
Oh
it
my
flowed so well, and you are natural, and this was so great. And honestly, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come and share, and that I just really honor this work that you're doing, and even the work that you're doing right now by speaking about the work that you're doing, because that's labor in itself. So again, words are failing me for my guests to thank you, because English doesn't cut it. But it's just like, I see you, I'm thankful for you, I'm cheering you on, and I'm here for you if if anything I can do to support as well. So we don't
Thank
have
you.
any more questions. So
Okay.
yeah, that's
Thank
anything
you.
you want to add.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. Like I said, I haven't until recently had words around these things, and you offering me the space to share what is so deeply important and moving for me is, again, like there aren't proper words to, like, I don't know, to put it in a box. There's not a box for the amount of gratitude I have for you offering me this space. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, it's mutual. It's mutual. So sending you a big hug. I'm going to end this broadcast now. And thank you to everybody who's watching. Sarah is in the Hello 2020 group, so feel free to pop in. And I'm going to share again your Instagram, or I've shared your Instagram. And yeah, so all right. Thank you, everybody,
Thank
so
you.
much. And we'll stay in
Thanks.
touch. Bye.